It's GARBAUGUST. It's GARBAUGUST, and it is the beginning of week 2. It's Monday the 7th already. Oh. I'm in training at my new job, and I'm very tired, which usually happens the first few weeks of any job. But it's going okay, so. Now, I want, because this is smut week, I do want to put a big, disclaimer that anything that I do say in my videos is, it's my own opinion. It's, I'm not affiliated with any businesses, or I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not monetized in any way. I'm just here to have some fun. But because it's smut week, we're going to be talking about a lot of adult topics. So if the kiddies are in the room, send them out. I will try to keep this as family friendly. I don't think families generally tend to read these books together. So today I just finished the book Laid in the Future, which is either number 12 or number 13, seems to be back and forth, of a series called The Lady from L.U.S.T. Lust. So I had to look it up here. It was printed in 1969. The Lady from L.U.S.T. L.U.S.T. stands for the... Oh, I can't remember what it stands for off the top of my head. Something Spies and Terrorists. And the main character, Eve Drum, is a crack spy in the vein of James Bond, because obviously these books were a very shameless ripoff of the James Bond type novels. And she gets sent on various missions by the U.S. government. And apparently it's some part of the CIA or something. I don't know. But she accomplishes her missions by having a lot of sex. And her name is 00 Sex. Oh, it gets sillier. So this particular mission takes place in the future. So one day the world has come to attention when a big purple disc flies over a Kansas cornfield and lays everything bare, right down to the dirt. Just, and there's a recorded message from a future tyrant telling everybody that he's going to come and conquer Earth the way he conquered everywhere else. So Eve reports to LUST headquarters, and she's told that they had been contacted earlier from our friends from the future asking for her by name. And so now she has to travel to the future and try to stop this tyrant. So when she gets there, she finds out that or actually, they can't kill him in the future because some sort of plague/fog descended and screwed up everybody's whatever, and the science of it is pretty sketchy. And so nobody has any sort of aggression left, so they can't kill. So they have to bring somebody from a couple thousand years in the past to do the deed. And they're in like the year 3769 or something. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, it gets sillier from here. So Ms. Drum flies to the future. Actually, she gets into a time machine that turns her into some kind of goo, some kind of sentient goo. And then she gets reformed as sentient, not goo. And when she gets there, she finds out that most people, and the people, especially the people who requested that she come to the future, not only are they not violent, but they are also incapable of feeling any kind of pleasure, and they're called the unisexes. And yes, it is deeply transphobic. So I'm going to read a passage that describes these poor unfortunate people. And throughout the book, the unisexes are described as freaks. They're literally stated to be freaks. Hang on a sec, I'll find the passage. There were no men and women. Oh, there were people, all right, but no men and women nor children either. The people I was staring at, and who were staring back at my face just as hard, were neither one nor the other. They wore futuristic costumes of a metallic cloth and some kind of transparent plastic. I had to give them 20th century names because those were all I knew. That fitted to their bodies. This metallic cloth and plastic bent when they bent, stretched when they stretched. The colors were red and blue and gray, pink and purple and white, all sorts of colors, all sorts of costumes. The people themselves were neither male nor female. Honest Injun, they were a little of each. You might say they were effeminate men or very manly women. Take your choice. One man was lean and well-muscled. He looked like a fighting man, except for his torso. Behind twin shields of plastic, he had breasts that I envied. His nipples were dark brown and long, clearly revealed behind the transparent stuff, and his hips were as rounded as my own. Beside him was a man-woman with legs to rival those of Dietrich herself and soft, slender arms. A face that would make this one a movie star after a single screen test, but in between, she had the body of an Olympic weightlifter. If a mad deity with godlike powers had decided to scramble the sexes, this might have been the result. The two examples I've mentioned were a little extreme. The others were more in the soft gray range, neither too much of one nor too little of the other. The worst part of it was they had expressions of outraged horror on their faces. So, we'll come back, stick a pin in that. Yes, very, very negative descriptions of trans, intersex, and non-binary characters. So, anyway, through a series of misadventures, Eve gets sent to these places where normal, cis heteronormative people live. They're called mating huts. And these people are allowed to have sex, but only procreatively and only by assignment. And they kind of have an idea that it's fun, but they don't quite know what to do. So she teaches them all to have sex. And this is what she accomplishes. She saves the world through having sex. Introducing people to pleasures unknown. Like sitting up and having sex on a stool. And the lady's like bouncing up and down and smiling because she's so happy. So then there's a twist that the people that she thought were the good people are not the good people, and the people that she thought were the bad people are not the bad people. So back to the transphobia. It's hard to tell what the author's intent was because the characters are described as inhuman, or somewhat less than human, because they don't have the same emotions, sensations, ability to feel pleasure that human beings do. Therefore, this is what makes the unisex people angry, and they want to lash out and enslave the normal people. I don't feel that it was written with the kind of malice that somebody would write it today. because in 1969, this was the start of the Stonewall riots. Trans activism was beginning, but it wasn't, there was a lot that was not known about transgender people. And I think gender affirmation surgery was not as advanced as it is today. And there is also, the simple fact that many people who transition really do go towards a binary. They are men or they are women, still. It's the depiction of somebody who is non-binary that is the most problematic, I think. And again, I don't want to comment too much about trans activism and trans politics because things were different in 1969 than they are now. Although some of the sentiment of wanting to live their lives, wanting not to be persecuted, wanting not to be thought of as freaks, was obviously the same then as it is now. I'm gonna point that out. And I think it's more the depiction of the trans characters as a product of a plague that has come close to destroying humanity. That is and I think that that's where it's less a condemnation of actual trans people, in my opinion. That's the way it feels, than it is a plot point. Because in 1969, they were still kind of sorting out male-female politics. And if they could... And neutering everybody seems like a good solution, right? Well, I feel that that's where the author's intent was going, was more the idea of everybody, or a vast majority of people have been neutered, but what happens when somebody isn't? Rather than, if trans people take over, they're horrifying freaks, and this is what's going to happen to normal, cis, heteronormative people. That's my feeling, but again, it's sometimes hard to tell author intent when you read a book like this, especially one that was written so long ago, because there were trans activists at the time, and there's obviously a deep ignorance of what it means to be trans or to be non-binary. Because, yeah, they're still human. They still have feelings. Like, what the hell? And that's where it's mostly problematic, is that the unisexes, they're depicted as not functioning the same way the cis heteronormative ones do. And it's weird. It's very weird to read, especially through a modern lens, when we've come so far in terms of trans rights, and then there's so many people trying to push up against them. I mean, if anybody in the alt-right got hold of this book, they'd be like, see, you know, it is normal. 3,000 years from now, this is what the world's gonna look like. But, you know, if the solution to everything is just have more sex, then I don't think that that's the worst thing in the world. Not my thing, but everybody's having fun, right? I don't know. Oh, but I did want to show you the original covers. The original cover, which I forgot to show you. So, unfortunately, it's really hard. It's kind of tiny. So there's one, and the cover looked like that, probably sometime in the 70s. And that is the original cover from the 60s. Look at that. She's full on naked except for her little wrap there. Like, what is she covering with that? So yeah, that's it for me for the beginning of Vintage Smut Week. Hopefully I'll be back with some more treats. And again, if you're sensitive to transphobic sentiment, or at least very deeply ignorant, I would definitely give this book a pass. Well, I'd give this book a pass anyway because it's ridiculous, but other than that, it was actually kind of fun. If you kind of set aside the politics, it was kind of funny, and the world building got weirder and weirder and sillier and sillier. So, hope you're reading lots of horror. Have a great day.